Today I'm going to take this Duratech shop apron that I got for Christmas and I'm going to make it fit my workshop and Star Warsify it. First thing I need to do is get rid of the Duratech patch. As much as I think this is a really good durable apron, I think the patch doesn't fit with my shop. My wife got this for me off of Amazon. I think it was only 16 bucks. I was looking at some other aprons from a famous maker with Star Wars stuff already on them, and they wanted over $120 just for one apron. For something that you're going to get dirty and probably want to replace every once in a while, I could not see spending $115, $120 on an apron. Here I'm taking a stencil that I made and I'm just cutting around the pocket so that I can push it down better for when I paint it. I'm going to paint it with some white craft paint. This is just straight acrylic paint. Not necessarily the right type of paint for fabric, but being it's an apron and not something that I'm going to be throwing in the wash machine, I'm not worried about it being a little stiff or even cracking. I stipple up and down to paint it and try to paint from the outside edge in so that I'm not getting the paint underneath the stencil here. This is a very durable fabric. It's a canvas material, so the paint didn't bleed through, but on some materials it would. If you wanted to do this and wanted to use a fabric paint, there are plenty of fabric paints out there that would have sufficed very easily. I was kind of lazy and didn't want to go driving into town to get something I didn't have, and this will work for me. Just trying to get the white down just inside the pocket just enough so that you can't see that the pocket blends in the way it does. Then after it dried for about an hour, I peeled off the stencil. And then you can see here down at the bottom of the tooth, one area where I accidentally did get a little under the stencil. It's not very bad. Considering how fast I did this, I was actually pleased with the way it came out. Now for the next part, I'm going to add a "this is the way" on the bottom pocket. And this is the way I'm going to cover up the little oops that I did on that tooth. The font here is called Good Times Bad Times, and it's meant to look kind of like graffiti where it's kind of wearing away. Not the best font to actually use for a vinyl cutter, because you have all these little pieces that it was just really hard to weed. And then I'm going to, on the top pocket, add a do or do not. There is no try. Both of these sayings seem to work with what this intent is. This is going to be in my shop where I'm always making something, trying to make something, or do or do not, don't try. Now the font is not going to be white, it's actually going to be an orange, but I know the orange is not going to show up on the canvas very well, so I'm just doing a quick stippling of white into the letters that I'm going to airbrush over after the white dries. The white is only being used kind of like a primer coat so that the yellow and the orange that I'm going to use shortly here actually shows up. You can see how the yellow is showing up on the white. If I was to do this directly on the black, you wouldn't see anything. Here, doing the do or do not, there is a comma after the not. I did not catch it with the airbrush, so that's going to be white when I get done. And then you'll see why that's not a big deal compared to the other mistake I made. I'm really good at making mistakes when I do stuff. Let that dry, and then I peel off the stencil, and you'll see how the "this is the way" kind of hides the fact that I made a mistake there. But the letters that are over the white, they kind of blend to the white a little too much. After finding all the stencil pieces for the weird font look, and then getting the inner pieces from the one at the top, I realized that one, I didn't get that comma like I said, and you'll see here in a second, it's right there after the T. And as much as I tried to line it up vertically, I missed, or I should say horizontally, I missed the vertical and it's off to the side. A little disappointing, but it's for my shop. I'm not really gonna complain too much. I will be getting a lot of use out of this apron, whether it's off by a quarter of an inch or not. And then down here at the "this is the way," I just took some black paint and I'm going to accentuate the edges of the letters that are over the mythosaur skull. This was a fun project. Took me a couple days to do because of the weather. One of the things I wanted to do was to kind of make it look a little worn, and I decided to go a little bloody with it with some dark red spray paint that I sprayed into a rubber glove and then just splattered onto the skull. Here's the final product. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think it's a great addition to my shop.